Okay. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home of and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Cynthia Stevens, and I'll be chairing the hearing this morning. Joining me from the Board of Revision on a panel today is Mr. Harvey Diamond and Mr. Richard Whitbread. Our assessor this morning is Mr. Stephen Lobenstein, and our secretary is Jeswinder Kumar. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence at the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value reclassification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions, and then the applicant's testimony also followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 8 on our docket today. Mr. Kumar, can you please swear in the assessor and the applicant? Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Stephen Lobenstein.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, stand up. State your full name.
Marcelo Navarro.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Can please sit.
Okay, thank you. In looking at the agenda, it appears to me, I'm just going to confirm it now, that we are dealing with assessed value on all the properties today. Is that correct?
The assessed value, yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. So, Mr. Lobenstein, you can proceed with the first property on the docket this morning, which is number 6, 1090 McDermott Avenue, when you're ready.
The roll number is 130960960000, Unit 6, 190 McDermott Avenue. The assessed value is $438,000. I do have a verbal recommendation for $425,000. So that's a verbal recommendation of $425,000.
425. Mr. Navarro, are you in agreement with this number?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Diamond, do you have any questions?
I don't.
Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
None, thank you.
Okay, thank you, and neither do I. So we'll move on to the next property on the docket this morning. 710 Sherwin Road. Mr. Lobenstein, when you're ready.
Yep. The roll number is 07569138390. That's 710 1200 Sherwin Road. The assessed value $454,000, and I have a verbal recommendation for $425,000. That's $425,000.
425. Okay, sorry. Sorry, Mr. Lobenstein, can you just, because it is taking me a little longer to take my notes here. So your assessed value was $454?
Correct.
And your recommendation is $425? Is that correct?
Oh, sorry. Yes, correct.
Okay, Mr. Navarro, are you in agreement with that?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
None, thanks.
Okay, Mr. Diamond?
I don't need to, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the next property is the same address, but a different unit, 711 1200 Sherwin Road. Mr. Lobenstein, when you're ready.
The roll number is 07569 138385, 711 1200 Sherwin Road. The assessed value is $454,000, and I have a verbal recommendation for $425,000.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, are you in favor with that number?
I am.
Okay, Mr. Diamond, any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
None, thanks.
And I have none, so thank you. And the next item on the docket is, again, the same address, unit number 712 1200 Sherwin Road. Mr. Lobenstein, when you're ready.
Yes, 07569 138380, 12 Sherwin Road. The assessed value is $437,000, and I have a verbal recommendation for $415,000.
Okay. Mr. Navarro, are you in favor of the 415,000?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
None.
Mr. Diamond?
No, I don't either, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So I do not either. So the next property is 455 Debates, Unit 101. Mr. Lobenstein, when you're ready.
The roll number is 0609347380, Unit 101, 455 Debates. We have an assessed value of $1,455,000, and I have a verbal recommendation for $1,305,000.
Sorry, could you repeat that? 305,000?
$1,375,000.
75. Thank you. Mr. Navarro, are you in agreement with that number?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Diamond, any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
I don't, thanks.
Okay, thank you. And I do not either. So that concludes that property. So the next item on the agenda, again, 455 Debate Street, Unit 104. Mr. Lobenstein, when you're ready.
The roll number is 060934738895, Unit 104, 455 Debate Street. I have an assessed value of $1,253,000, and I have a verbal recommendation of $1,150,000. That's $1,150,000.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Navarro, are you in agreement with $1,150,000?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Mr. Diamond?
I don't either, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I do not either. So that concludes that item. So sorry, just a second. The next item on the agenda is 1180 Wilkes Avenue.
Yes, the roll number is 1000444400. That's 1180 Wilkes Avenue. We have an assessed value of $11,437,000, and I do have a verbal recommendation for $11,169,000. That's $11,169,000.
Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit there. Can you just read that one more time? It's
11,169,000.
69. Thank you. And Mr. Navarro, are you in agreement with that number?
I haven't received verbal acceptance from the client on this, so I can't accept.
Okay, all right, so we'll proceed. So Mr. Albenstein, can you please proceed with this property?
Oh, sorry, Marcel, you didn't want me to recommend this one? All right.
No, I was actually going to have a different conversation with you, but. We were mistaken on what we agreed on there. That's fine. So I'll proceed. This is a condo industrial unit. The actual years built are from 2008 to 2012. And we have a wall height of 17 feet to 25 feet. The zoning is M2 general, and the land area is 137,826 square feet. And we have a gross floor area, 54,828 square feet, leasable area, 52,521 square feet, and a land to plan of 3.24. Further down on my page 2, you can see that they are compliant, and that there are some leases in this building. You can see the actual leases there range from $14.95 a square foot all the way up to $12.50 a square foot all the way up to $20.68 a square foot. So you can also see these rent comparables addenda with the income expense. No, I mean the actual rents in the addenda with the income expense mailers. I'll get to later. So our going to my page. Sorry, give me a second here. We're just going to take a look at where this property is located. So if you go to my page 8, I'll give you a moment to get there. Lormore Avenue is in between Sterling Loyne, Sterling Loyne and Wilkes, and also Kenniston Avenue. It's sort of near the Golf Dome and the Outlet Mall. On my page 8, you can see a view from above the property. You get an idea of what the location or the actual site plan looks like. Further down on page 9, you can see the property. It's the outlined purple area, so it is actually connected to the building next to it, but that's 900 Lorimer. That's the property we'll be doing next. They are broken up with different roll numbers. And then my page 10, you can get a rear view. You can see the overhead doors in the back. You can see the parking lot in the front there. So that gives you an idea of what the property looks like. So going back up to my page 3, you can see rent comparables. These are actual rents in the market. These are net rents, net of all expenses. These are what we build our model off of. Our model is based off of net rents. So when we're looking at net rents, we're looking at rents that are in a similar area to the subject property, similar square footage for industrial buildings. Similar wall height, effective year built should be similar. And of course, we also look at the lease start and the lease terms to see how recent these rents are in the market. So our leased area is broken down in how we look at our premises. So the premises for this building are broken down at a high of 15,000 square feet to a low of 3,000 square feet. The effective years built for these rent comparables are similar to the subject property. They range from 2001 all the way up to 2018. And of course, you can see the net rents there ranging from $13.15 a square foot all the way up to $18.29 a square foot. So by page 4, this is our model. As you can see on our model, we have a number of different premises, all ranging in square footages, which are similar to the comparable rents I talked about above. The rents here range from $13.94 a square foot all the way up to $16.11 a square foot. So it's similar to our rent comparables. So we calculate a potential rent from these model rents of $786,386. Sorry, $786,386. We then apply a 3.5% vacancy, and then we're applying a 3% expenses, $3.85 per square foot for shortfall, for a net operating income of $729,019. We take our net operating income and we apply it to an overall capitalization rate, which is 6.25%. And when we capitalize our net operating income, we get a capitalized value of $11,664,304. Now, if you look further down my page, you see other adjustments. We've made another adjustment of $227,454. So we've taken off portion of the land here. If you scroll down, I'll explain this now. If you scroll down to my page 10, you can sort of see some outlines of roads. It's been argued in the past that the value of these roads should not be included in the final valuation, so we have deducted it from the actual income value. So going back up to my page 4, you can see that we've deducted that. So now we have an estimated value of $11,437,000 for an assessed value. So moving to my page 6, you can see our capitalization rates. These are our model capitalization rates. The industrial charts, the second from the top, just below office. The range for the 20th to 80th percentile are 5.5 to 7.45. So you can see that this property fits in there at a 6.25. So it's within that range. This is where the majority of cap rates fall within the city of Winnipeg, within this 20th to 80th percentile. So move down to my page. So the mailers sort of start on page 20. We have our COVID mailer we sent out to understand how the property sort of performed during COVID. That's on page 20 and 21. And you can see on page 22, as I spoke to before, there is the actual income expense mailers on page 22, 23, and it goes to page 27. Further down, I do have some outside information or outside sources that would support our cap rates and our vacancies as well. On page 29 and 30. So we feel that the value of 11 million, well, I mean, I did do a verbal recommendation for 11,169,000. So I do feel that should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions of Mr. Lovinston?
Yes, I have several questions. So in terms of your vacancy, that is a model vacancy. You have not adjusted that in any way?
Oh, this is our model vacancy, correct?
Okay, and I assume that is a modeled rent as well?
Correct.
Okay, and in this case, you can actually see that the actual rent is actually higher than the modeled rent. Would you agree that, you know, adjusting for the vacant spaces, the actual rent actually is higher than the model?
Adjusting for the vacant spaces, the actual rent is higher than the model.
Yeah.
I haven't calculated that out in the.
Okay, that's fine. So, and in terms of your capitalization rate, that is your standard capitalization rate as per the model for this property?
Yeah, this would be a modeled capitalization rate, correct?
Okay. So did you go over this property, or was this basically just the model value and you just affirming that value?
This is the model value, correct?
Okay. Now, in terms of the property itself, you have outlined it on page 9, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are quite a few units here. Would you say that basically with that parking allotted there, do you think that they have enough parking there?
Do they have enough parking there? I mean, I can't say they have.
You can see on page 8 as well, you have actually you have a better view there.
Well aware that there is parking there, yes.
Okay.
Is there enough? I can't say.
There's no issue that you've actually found in the past, issues that have been relayed to you by the owner in the past regarding that?
No, I can only per a personal experience where my child's gone to gymnastics in this area, and we've never had problems with the building finding parking.
That would be kick it?
That would be kick it, yeah.
Yeah, mine too. In terms of the COVID questionnaire, you can see on page 20 that they were, some of the tenants were asking for rent deferrals, correct?
That is correct.
And on page 23, you can see that there are non-recoverables running through this property, correct?
Yeah, there's definitely some non-recoverables. There's some that probably shouldn't be included there, such as asset management fees, tenant improvements, leasing.
Yeah, we would never include tenant improvements in our non-recoverables anyways. Now, if you turn to page 27, and I assume that this is 2020 INE, correct?
This is the 20 INE, yep.
Okay. Now, you can see that there is free rent running through, I would say, quite a few of these properties, correct? These CRUs.
Yeah.
Would you say that's typical?
It depends on the property. For obviously owner occupied, it's not typical because it's owner occupied. But for something like this, it's not uncommon to see some tenant inducements in buildings for sure.
And the tenant inducements aren't noted there, but you only included one income and expense, like for 2020. You didn't go back any further. So, anyways, we'll get to that topic later. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Diamond, do you have any questions for Mr. Lobenstein?
None at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
Just one, you were asked that the model provided these values, but that 227,000, was that a model adjustment or was that a U adjustment?
Sorry, that's an assessor adjustment.
So the assessor did that, not the model.
The model value of the land around there, and we just reduced when we implemented it into the model to reduce these.
Just pulling out that strip of parking.
Correct. Yeah. So that's the model value, but we put it into the model to reduce it.
I understand. Thank you for that. No further questions.
Okay, thank you. Since we don't have a workup on your recommendation, Mr. Lobenstein, do you have your NOI and your cap for your?
This is an agreed upon value. There is no workup.
Okay, so there you don't have that. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Navarro, please proceed with your presentation.
Madam Chair, I just want to mention that applicant submitted a revised brief today morning. I put that into the folder, and I also sent the email to Mr. Lobstein.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the revision actually just includes numbers on the pages, so it would have been very confusing for you to follow without numbers on the pages. So I just submitted a brief with the numbers on it.
Oh, sorry. So, Jaswinder, you said you just put it in.
Yeah, I put it in the folder with the mark revised at the end.
Oh, it says about a minute ago. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Hang on one second. Okay, does everybody have it?
Yes, I have it.
Okay. I'll wait till the other panel members have it, and then Mr. Navarro can proceed.
So is it here? This third one?
Yeah, not I think the second item. Yeah, it's
It isn't? Yeah. This one? That one? On Wilkes? No, for Lorimer. We have the applicant, we have the applicant. Yeah. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, good, Madam Chair.
Okay, everyone's got it. Okay, Mr. Navarro, please proceed with your presentation.
Okay, so we have 1180 Wilkes Avenue. I'm not going to go over the rent roll or the realty roll number. So if you turn to page 2, you can see the summary information. So 1180 Wilkes, leasable area is 52,521 square feet. Original age is 2008, and the site area is 598,562. Now, in terms of the intended use of the report, I believe that you can probably read this at a later time. It's been standard throughout this cycle for all briefs to include this section on intended use report, on intended user, scope of the work. In terms of this property, I've been on this property actually several times this year, so I wouldn't just count the September visit. Now, in terms of assumptions and limiting conditions, again, you can probably read that on your own time. And you can see the property there. X marks the spot, and an outside picture. I don't think I need to go over the property description. What I will note about this property is that it is adjacent to, I believe, the medical clinic that aligns on Sterling Line Boulevard. And the reason that I mentioned the parking issue with Mr. Levenstein, and he wouldn't be aware of this issue, is that parking has become an issue in this location because of that medical clinic. So I think it's a matter of public record at this point, but the two sides are embroiled in a legal battle at this point over the issue of parking. And, I guess clients of the medical clinic parking in the parking for this property. Highest and best use is not questioned. It's the current use as an industrial building. It is a flex building, so again, it's called a flex because it has that flexibility in terms of the space inside of it. It can be adjusted. It can be office space. It can be warehouse space. It can be dance studios. It can be manufacturing areas. It has that flexibility to be just about anything. In terms of the approach that we are looking at, we're not looking at the cost approach or the sales comparison approach. These properties are generally exchanged and valued on the income approach. So in terms of the rentable area, we are looking at 52,521 square feet. In terms of the market rent that the city has applied, that is $786,386 or $14.97 per square foot for the entire 52,521. Now we use the actual rents in place, which actually provide for a higher rent in total, and that is $883,134 or $16.81 per square foot. Now, for the balance of this, in terms of vacancy, you'll see some information that we use in our industrial capitalization report relating to Johnson report. Now, while we put this in there, we don't necessarily rely on it. We make our own decisions as to what type of vacancy we should apply to the property. And it's based generally on observation and communication with the client. Now, in this case, I was able to communicate with the client. As I mentioned, I have been in this property several times. And I have gone over this property with the client several times. So for the purpose of this report, we are applying an 8% vacancy to the subject. In terms of the shortfall, we are applying the standard rate of $385 per square foot, as observed in the valuation of income producing properties published by the City of Winnipeg. Non-recovered expenses, we haven't deviated from this at any point. We apply the 7%. As you heard in my questioning, there are non-recoverables that are present in this location. So we feel that the 7% actually should be allowed. In terms of the capitalization rate, we've applied a 6.25% capitalization rate in this instance. However, we have adjusted that capitalization rate, and that is following conversations with the owner. So for this valuation, we are not changing any portion of our net operating income, but we are adjusting the capitalization rate to 7%. And I will explain my reasoning for doing so. In terms of the adjustments, we adjusted for the lots just as the assessor has. So it's 207,000. So in terms of the adjustment value based on 7%, where the income valuation says 11,375,894, based on 7%, it is actually 10,563,329. And then,
sorry, can you repeat that number? Sorry.
Yes, it is 10,563,329.
Okay, thank you.
And it is, and then we deduct $207,000 from that. That gives us an end value of 10,356,329, or 10,356 rounded. Okay.
Okay.
On page 24, and you'll find the numbers on the left-hand corners at the bottom. We see the income and expense submitted by the owner, and this is the 2020, first of all. And if you turn to page, it would be page 29. You can see that the owner has listed 10.72% as the 10.72% as the vacancy for the subject. So again, we adjusted the vacancy in the income and expense as noted before. On page 33, in the COVID questionnaire, the owner speaks about the tenant deferrals that are being sought. And this is, again, a result of COVID. Beyond that, from page 35 onward, you can see the income and expenses. And these are statements provided by the owner. And then the rent roll. So beyond that, on page 40 is the important thing that I wanted to highlight. So I'll just call this free rent for now. I'll give an explanation following my brief. So here you have Kicket with 3 months free rent, Dynasty Bathrooms with 4 months free rent, Exchange Income Corp with 2 months, Remax with 5 months. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Axeo Solutions, 4 months. Now the following one on page 41 is the 2019. And again, this is the same type of submission. You can see on page 45 that there is no vacancy in 2019. In the previous year, there was also vacancy. So we kind of stabilized it, and that's how we came up with the 8%. But a lot of this is driven because of the events of because of COVID and its effects on the general economy and in terms of the tenancies. So you can see on page 50, again, that is the income and expenses, and that goes on. You have the rent roll also. And then on page 55, you also have the same type of chart with free rent for SEMA, for Dynasty, for Exchange Corp. And what you see here between the two is that you see some turnover here and you see free rent being given. Ticket is receiving free rent in both cycles or in both 2019 and 2020. Now, some people call this free rent. What it actually is a type of rent deferral. So they are actually being given rent, and then that is in a way deferred, amortized, and that is because of the troubles that they were having. So Kikit was having problems before the pandemic even started, and that was the reason that they were being given free rent, not actually free rent, because they have to pay it back. And currently, there are significant arrears. Now, there is no section here for noting arrears, and unfortunately, that's a bit of a privacy issue, and that's why I can speak to it here. But it's not; it wouldn't be, published in any way. But there are several tenants here with significant arrears, and that is what is causing the major problems in this property. And you can go through the tenancies in this property. If you look at, for example, the 2020 submission, starting on page 37, you'll see that there are maybe one or two good tenancies. And if you just give me a second here, I've brought my computer here for this specific reason. Okay, so we have what I would call two good tenancies with strong covenants, and that would be BASF Canada and Her Majesty the King now. That would be the RCMP. Some of these other ones, unfortunately, as good as their name sounds, have been unfortunately suffering. And some of this, again, happened before the pandemic even started. Again, we'll note the issue of Kikit. These are not really free rent. This is them not wanting spaces to go dark. Because if one space goes dark, or two spaces, or three spaces go dark, then you face a problem. Then you face the issue of possibly having the entire complex go dark. And that was a serious concern to this owner. And that is why he instituted this of having, of giving these tenants free rent. Again, this will be amortized over time. But in terms of how they're paying it back, well, some of them can't even pay it back. They're, as I mentioned, they are in significant arrears. That is the reason why I have adjusted the capitalization rate. Because really, without knowing the situation, without speaking with the client, no one would be aware of that. And this is very specific to the property itself. It looks like a good property. I'll give it that. It's not that old, but unfortunately, it has suffered over time. It has had issues with vacancy. Just given the percentage increase in value from last cycle, that should in itself say something. But the problems continued for this property, and they just got worse during COVID. So that is our reasoning for adjusting the capitalization rate to 7%. Now, in terms of the rent, the net operating income, we're displaying things at market. So everything we feel is at market. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lobenstein, any questions for Mr. Navarro?
Few questions. So, have any tenants vacated at all due to COVID or past few years?
Yes, there have been some vacancies. So unit 986 became vacant as of May 20. And there also has been some turnover. So meaning that, you know, the previous tenants moved out, likely COVID related, new ones came in, and then the cycle began again of, you know, them having to provide free rent and again amortize it over time. And again, the arrears have just kept adding up and up. So,
you know, like you said, I can't speak to the arrears. If you verbally brought that information, and that's fine, but there's obviously no documentation of it. I guess the only other question I have is when it comes to the rent on page 6, it says 2 tenants had requested rent deferral. Sorry, on your page 33, question 6 of our COVID information, 2 tenants have requested rent deferral and only 1 tenant had made arrangements with the landlord to defer April and May rent. And then it is being amortized from June to December, so the property is receiving the income.
Yeah, so it's being deferred and then amortized. So he's handling it in one of 2 ways. Either he's doing the rent deferral, and I don't know the aspect of whether these tenants actually qualified for any type of rental assistance during this time. But the owner himself was actually doing some type of assistance during this time as well. And that is simply so things like CAM could be paid rather than have the units go vacant. Again, it's not an easy thing to rationalize based on the income and expenses, but once you have several vacancies in a unit like this, there always is that danger that many more could follow simply because of that. I mean, it's that space going dark phenomena.
I mean, this might not be a question you can answer. I was going to ask. So, were they able to give free rent because they received subsidies during COVID?
I wouldn't say so because, again, the arrears issue is a pretty significant issue at this point. So we wouldn't have, you know, several $100,000 in arrears sitting there simply because, you know, it just happens to be. So, I mean, if they were getting assistance, they were getting assistance. But I don't see that as having happened because, again, these arrears have just kept getting worse and worse.
Okay, those are all my questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Whitbread. Do you have any questions for Mr. Navarro?
Just one for clarification. I'm looking at the 2 documents that you submitted in your income summary have the same numbers on both my documents. The revised document is $11,437.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 22 of the revised, and the original doesn't have a page number. They're both 11,437. I don't have any numbers.
Oh, yes, I verbally revised it.
That's it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I have those numbers.
Okay.
No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Diamond, do you have any questions?
Yes, he's showing what you call tenant incentives, I guess, or free rent for another word. How many years are those amortized over?
Typically, they're amortized over 10 years.
Well, no, in this case, so you're thinking they're all over amortized for 10 years. So you got a 10-year lease in exchange for a couple of months free rent.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really work out to very much for any specific single year then.
No, it doesn't. But again, the arrears are not being noted in here.
I understand, but what you're doing is you're looking forward to, we have to decide what a purchaser would pay for this based on the income approach. And so the arrears actually look a lot worse than they actually are then, if you're getting 10-year lease in exchange for a couple of months of free rent.
I mean, I haven't listed the arrears, but they are fairly significant.
Okay. And I see some of the tenants, I mean, they look pretty solid. Exchange Income Corporation trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange and is considered a pretty good investment.
I believe they came in more recently after another unit was vacated. Yeah.
Okay, so they're not in arrears, obviously. Okay. And the vacancies that you were talking about, they were related to the COVID situation. They're not chronic, correct?
I believe the vacancy of this place has gone up and down. So if you go back even further, you'll find more vacancy there.
Are the vacancies big?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I believe it's around 8%.
Vacant right now.
Yeah.
You believe that, and you know that you checked it yourself, or that's what you've been told?
Yeah, there is vacancy. I was there recently.
Okay, thank you. That's my question.
Thank you very much. I have no questions. Mine have all been answered. Mr. Lobenstein, any need to summarize on this one?
I don't.
Okay, Mr. Navarro, would you like to summarize?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, that concludes this item. So the next item on the agenda is 900 Lorimer Boulevard. And just let everyone get a second to find that. And then Mr. Lobenstein, you can proceed when you're ready, please.
Sure. So the roll number is 100067700 900 Lorimer Boulevard. The assessed value is $34,823. Again, this is a condo industrial. We have 20 places on this property. The effective year and actual are 2011 to 2019, and the wall heights range from 13 feet to 25 feet. The zoning is M2. The land area is 490,991 square feet, and the floor or the area is 105,722 square feet for a land plan of 3.03. On my page 2, you can see that they've sent in their mailers, and you can also see some subject property leases, which are in the mailers in my addenda as well. You can see the leased areas range from 15,861 square feet as the highest, down to about 3,000 square feet for the lowest. So again, we'll take a quick look at this property on page 9. Again, this is beside the property we were just looking at, between Wilkes, Sterling Loin, and Kenniston, near the Golf Dome and the new Outlet Mall, and of course IKEA. My page 10 gives you another view of this property. You can see that there's actually an office portion on this property that fronts Lormore, right on the corner with Wilkes there. This is a pretty recent build. It's a 3-story with an underground parkade. And of course, parking around the outside of it as well. You can get another view of the property on my page 10 from a different angle. Again, you can see the office building there, and you can see the rear part of the building where the overhead doors are and loading takes place. So going back up to my page, we'll go to page 3 here. So on page 3, you can see I've broken the rents up between the industrial or the flex warehouse component of the property and also the office component of the property, which I mentioned. For the flex warehouse, again, you're looking for rents market rents in similar area, similar leased areas, wall heights, and effective year built. And of course, the lease start and the lease terms are important to see how significant or how close to the actual reference date the rents are. So we see our rents range from $13 all the way up to $15 for our flex warehouse, and for our office rents they range from $16.50 or $6 all the way up to $20.68. So on my page 4, you can see the breakdown of our premises, which are similar to the actual breakdown of the specific property. The first income stream here is the flex warehouse, or the industrial income stream. We have a potential rent of $1,393,400. Or sorry, and then we're applying our vacancy of 3.5%, 3% expenses, $3.85 per square foot for a shortfall, and a capitalization rate of 6.35%. Going forward, you can see that capitalizes it to $20,503,000 for our industrial portion of the property. This is a dual income stream property due to the office space. So we have, again, the premise is broken up similar to the rent roll. We have a potential rent of $1,333,400. For this one, we're applying a 6% vacancy rate, expenses of 3%, and an overall capitalization is 6.4%. Just looking at our last premise, I just want to point out we have a 10 cents override rent on that. We're considering that shell space that hasn't been renovated yet. So I'll show you that in some of the pictures I have below. So when we capitalize our net operating income at $912,080, we at 6.5%, we get an estimated value of $14,251 for the office space. On my page 6, you can see all the income combined together on the left-hand side under the summary. And for our estimated market value of $34,754. Again, our capitalization rate charts on page 7, industrial second from the top, and the 20th to 80th percentile range from 5.5 to 7.45, where the majority of cap rates fall within the city of Winnipeg. And the blended cap rate of 7.37 falls within this range. So I have a fairly extensive addenda for this property. Guide you through it here. We'll start on my page 36. You can see there is a construction permit. This is for the office space, or the office that was the 3-story office space that was built. The declared construction value you see is highlighted there as well at $6.5 million at the time it was constructed. These are just some inspection photos I have below. So the first ones here are the new office space on page 37 and 38. So this would have been, I believe these were taken back in 2018. So it's been quite a while since we've been in there. It was just getting built then. Some offices had already moved in. I believe it's ANS Homes that had moved in. But you can see through, as you scroll down, you can see that they were just getting ready to move in. And then page 51, you get an idea of what I'm talking about when it comes to the shell space. Well, it hasn't quite been built out yet, but it is ready to be built out for a tenant. 52, you get an idea of the hallways. And then again, 54 gives you an idea. Page 54 and 5 and 56 gives you an idea of them sort of preparing to renovate the property. So then starting on my page 63, you can see the flex warehouse portion of the property. They have a spin class in there, or a gym. Page 65, you get an idea of sort of what it looks like in the industrial when we inspected this property. We have some dates on there. 2019 was this property, and I think 2018 was the other property. Anyways, page 68, you can see the true hockey manufacturer. They're in here as well. And you can see sort of their showroom and their offices on page 70. So we feel that the value of $34,823 should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. That you meant 34 million, correct?
I didn't mean 34 million.
I just want to clarify that. Thank you very much. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions for Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes, I do. If you turn to page 4 of your income valuation, again, you've used only market parameters here from the model.
Yeah, our model are based market rents, as you see on my page 3.
Okay. And in terms of your vacancy, you're aware that the actual vacancy is substantially higher than that, correct?
I think that's kind of the point of using a model or a market vacancy, where vacancy, as we've already talked about, these, like a building like this, it's in flux. So yes, at this point in time, maybe the vacancy is higher, but that's why we use a market vacancy. I don't believe that this is a completely vacant building.
Have you been in it?
I've been in portions of it, yeah.
Okay. And in terms of your office valuation, now, when was the last time you were in here?
Well, I believe those pictures are from 2018. I'll have to look back on the notes to double check that. Just give me a second. It was 2019 when the building was inspected. Those pictures were taken.
Okay. And again, here you provided market rents. You've adjusted the vacancy, and the capitalization rate is market as well, correct?
It is market, yes.
Okay. I believe that is it.
Those are your questions?
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Diamond, any questions for Mr. Lobenstein?
No, I don't, but thank you.
Okay. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
I have none, thank you.
And I have none either. So Mr. Navarro, you can proceed with your presentation.
Okay. We have 900 Lorimer Boulevard, and this is a flex warehouse on one side and an office building on the other. And so the flex warehouse lies on the east side of the property. The office building lies on the west side of the property. You can see my assessment summary. I won't go over that or the intended use or intended user. As I mentioned, I've been in these properties, and they are next to the other property that we were looking at several times this year. You can see an outline of the property at hand, and that is the one with the red teardrop. And then on page 7, you can see a bird's eye view of the property. There's a short description on page 8. Highest best use is regarded as the current use. And again, we'll just flip to the income valuation. So for the flex area, we've gone with a rent of $13.92. And again, that is predominantly actual rents. We've adjusted some rents where we thought that an adjustment was necessary. And for the most part, again, we're going with the actual rents. In terms of because we feel that they are as close to market as they can be, and they are the best indicator. In terms of the vacancy, well, the vacancy needs to be adjusted in this case because there has been considerably higher than normal vacancy at this location. Now, just in the 2 income and expense submissions that I made for 2020 and 2019 that are in this brief, the vacancy was at about 22%. So we've adjusted it downward to about 15%. And on page In terms of the shortfall, we've gone with the City of Winnipeg shortfall. Non-recovered expenses, again, you know our position on this. We haven't deviated from this. We are asking for their full 7%. And in terms of the capitalization rate, we are actually asking for a 6.5% capitalization rate. On page 23, you can see the summary of the income workup. So you can see there that we've elected a $13.92 rent, 15% vacancy. That gives us an effective market of $1,216,465, a shortfall of $3.85, management of $5 is actually non-recoverable. That is not management expenses that are actually recovered. 2% other. And in terms of the net operating income, we get a net operating income of $1,071,926, capitalized at 6.5%. That gives us an income value of $16,491,177. In terms of the office portion, so again, we've gone with actuals. Again, these were negotiated rather recently, so we think we are at market in this situation. So we have 59,000 square feet, and $18.61 is the rent per square foot. That gives us a gross of $1,097,937. In terms of the vacancy, we've adjusted the vacancy, obviously. You can see there the 3 years of vacancy that we've looked at with a partial on 2021. And again, you have to understand that this is a relatively new building, so reporting really only started in 2019. The building was, I believe, as Mr. Lobenstein said, up and running around 2018, late 2018. In terms of the shortfall, we've gone with a shortfall of $8 per square foot. Non-recovered expenses, again, of 7%. And on page 27, you can see my workup. So we go with $1,097,937 as the gross, and that is based on an $18.61 rent per square foot, 20% vacancy, $8 for shortfall, 5% for management, and 2% for other, and then the 6.5% capitalization rate, giving us an income value of $11,114,848. On page 28, you can see the summary of this property. And again, we have a summarized value of $27,606,025, obviously rounded to $27,606,000. On page 29, you can see our submissions in terms of the income expenses. And if you turn to page 34, you can see the vacancy for 2020. And if you turn to page 52, you can see the vacancy for 2019. Now, again, as noted, in page, we go back to the summary for the flex warehouse portion. And that is on page 24. You can see that the vacancy, or sorry, that is for the office portion. You can see that vacancy. I'm just going to turn back to the flex side. I believe I summarized it on page 20 where I'm adjusting it to 15%. So there are quite a few vacant units in the flex warehouse. If you just bear with me, I will tell you exactly. Okay. So for the flex portion, unit 950 was vacant, unit 940 was vacant, unit 920 was vacant, and unit 940, 950 was vacant. So the first unit is 11,641 square feet. The next one is 2589. The next one is 3,006 square feet, and the following is 9,246 square feet. It's quite a bit of vacancy. That's why we've adjusted the vacancy upward to 15%. And this, again, like the other one, has ongoing vacancy issues. So we believe that vacancy should be adjusted upward from the standard model vacancy that the city of Winnipeg is proposing. Now, in terms of the rent, I don't think there's that much of an issue. I think we're maybe higher on one, at least the office portion. That is the general submission. There was some rebuttal that was submitted. I don't know if that was.
I had that story.
Yeah, can we just quickly go over it?
Just a moment. I have to put that into the folder.
You know what? We'll do the rebuttal after we finish the questions. Okay. So, and then we'll have separate questions on the rebuttal.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Thank you. So are you finished this portion of your presentation then?
I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Mr. Lobenstein, any questions?
You on your page 46, you've outlined the units and the tenants and the areas and all the leases. You've shown the ones that are vacant, but it also has the vacant state. So we have some of them that have been vacant since 2019 and 2020. So considering this is the mailer from 2020, this is pretty recent vacancy. Would it not be in this sense more effective to model vacancy, knowing that moving forward, these units could very easily fill up, and this wouldn't be considered a chronic vacancy?
Well, I think chronic vacancy is from what I've heard from previous conversations with some assessors, is something maybe at the 20-25% range. I wouldn't consider a 15% vacancy chronic at that point. Once we get above 20%, then I think we have a chronic vacancy problem. And we do have that in the office portion, as you probably saw, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I've also included the 2019 income and expense questionnaire in here as well. And for the lack of trying to save some space here, I could have gone further back on this property. So part of this is related to the rebuttal, and I suppose I can speak to it now because you asked about it. In terms of the vacancy on the office building, it's at 20%. Now, this building was actually, the office portion was actually, what's the term, up and running around late 2018. Would you agree?
There was, from our pictures, there was a portion. Well, our pictures were in 2019, and they were starting to move in.
Okay. So part of the rebuttal relates to recent pictures. So there still remains shell space in this property, which is just sitting there. It can't be rented. You note that you said that it can be easily, retrofitted and spaced to, accommodate a new tenant. But that is the issue. We're several years past 2018, and there's still a lot of vacant space in this location. So I don't know what a typical rent-up period is, maybe a year and a half, but we've gone way beyond that. And it continues. So I don't know how you can't not adjust the vacancy. It's clearly something, I don't know whether it's the location. It's a beautiful building, I'll admit it. I've been in it many, several times. And I can't explain it. It's hidden in a pocket, as you probably know. And you can easily miss it. Obviously, if you're traveling down Route 90, you're not going to see it. That's really not important. The thing that I would say is that, again, to stress that this building was really functioning in late 2018, and we're talking, obviously economic, or vacancy refers to an economic factor, which is always based on the reference date. But even physically, there's still a lot of shell space in there, which hasn't been converted into anything else because there's been no prospects for tenancies of quite a large space, I would say. And I will note that there has been some more uptake in terms of the tenancy on the second floor, and that is why I noted that. That is a lease that started that we didn't see in the 2020 IME. I actually looked at the 2021 IME to get that space and the rent off of that. But still, if you go through the building, it's still, there's still large portions that are vacant. So I don't understand why we wouldn't look at it. I understand that your model vacancy predicts a rent, a vacancy for a property in a certain area. But without really knowing this, it wouldn't be able to adjust for that. So that's why we've adjusted for it.
Do you know how much, since you've seen it recently, how much of it is just shell space? Because I think we're putting about over 3,000 square feet of shell space.
Yeah, so I will just quickly. So on the main level, there is about 18,782 square feet. And on the second level, there is about 8,000 square feet. So that is still quite a significant amount of shell space. And you could call it vacant space. And effectively, that's what we've done, is call it vacant space, because again, we followed your lead on this. You've decided that basically the bulk of this building is now, as a model, I guess, predicted occupied. But in reality, that's not the case, and that's why we've adjusted the vacancy to reflect that. So we could either, one, adjust the overall footprint of the building to accommodate for that additional shell space. At this point, I think that's too late, or we can just acknowledge that there's more vacancy in that space. And again, we're talking, I've said it at least twice already. It was operational in late 2018. If we talk about the physical condition now, those spaces are still vacant.
Okay. Yeah, those are all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions for Mr. Navarro?
Mm-hmm. So I look at the photos and I see the office portion is very clearly labeled as A&S homes. I don't get a sense that there's anything else happening, and I think you've alluded to that. typically we would see brochures for lease information in your application. We would see information about the inability to lease it. I don't see any of that in your application. Have there been marketing efforts for this property?
There have, and they haven't gone anywhere. But part of the reason for not including anything is that all we have at this point is shelf space. So if we had, for example, one of the reasons that I included a new lease in there, which came out of the 2021 INE, is because we were able to verify that lease. We had the marketing documentation for that, but we didn't feel it was necessary to include it because we had the lease. So in terms of the other stuff, no, there isn't any, we didn't include any marketing materials, but at the same time, part of the reason is because it is shelf space, and we think the city just jumped the gun on it.
Is there signage around the building?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not like they haven't tried.
Sort of, not on the warehouse side, on the office
Yes,
side.
yes. And if you go online, you will find marketing materials for this office. And, you know, I had a conversation with the owner, and he was, again, he did what I'm doing right now. We don't know. We don't know what's causing this.
Thank you.
It
No
could be
further questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Diamond, any questions?
You know, one thing I noticed that you did, deviating from the usual applications, and then you've shown a 5% management non-recoverable. So it's not recoverable because there's no tenants to pay it. Is that why you're doing it in this instance, or?
I mean, we could have increased the vacant space shortfall as well.
You have done that, of course.
We didn't really do that, I think. So I don't think we've deviated from the vacant space shortfall.
No, I'm saying you're showing a 5% non-recoverable management fee. So you're saying it's not recoverable. Why? Because the leases that you have don't provide for, they're not net leases?
No. Okay, just so I'm clear about this.
Yeah.
You're not confusing that 5% with the 5% or with recoverable management expenses that you would typically see in a triple net lease, right?
Yeah, you usually see the recovery, correct?
No, I mean, the top unit, which is the third floor, is all owner occupied. The second floor, where we have some new lease space, that is a triple net lease, and you can see by the $21 rent that you see there on page 24. So you would see some non-recoverable expenses from that, and you would also see it from the continued marketing of this property.
So this property we're for sale, and it's basically, you can't say it's chronically, it has a chronic rent problem because it's still leasing up.
I think you probably crossed that threshold at about a year and a half after it was constructed. There's no reason that this building should have been vacant past that time frame. So if we were looking at about mid-2019, I don't think that there would have been any reason for the space not to be completely occupied. It's a nice building, but obviously something is causing this, and it's hard to explain. The owner themselves do not understand it. And I mean, I know the area because I live 2 minutes away from it. I mean, my belief is that it's location. I don't know if maybe someone wants to be in this area as opposed to higher traffic area, higher visibility, better access. It's not bad access, but you're stuck in, how do I point it? You're really at the back of this street, you know, bordering on Old Wilkes, right? You can see the golf dome.
I've been in this.
Yeah, so you're not in the typical area for an office building to begin with. And that could be part of the reason. That's my belief, but I mean, that's just, again, that's just opinion.
Another way of looking at this, if it did go up for sale, because of the situation where it is, it would just be assigned a higher cap value.
Absolutely, absolutely. You could handle it one of many ways, is that you would acknowledge that risk in the capitalization rate. Unfortunately, it has the issue of vacancy on both sides, not just the office side. The flex side has been has had high vacancy, issues. So, yeah.
Okay, that's all your questions, Mr. Diamond?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So just following up on that, Mr. Navarro. So for the office complex vacancy, you feel that it is perhaps the location rather than the onset of COVID that is causing this issue?
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think COVID made it any better. If that's
no, yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of the rent up period, why I got onto that is that, again, this is a nice building for all, it really should have been occupied, I think, probably in full by mid-2019, late 2019. And why it wasn't, I don't know. Again, that's where I come up with this theory that it's really related to the location of the property, and maybe someone not wanting to be in an office building in this location, because it is kind of isolated. It's for an office building, it's off the beaten path. So that's what I can say about it. Unfortunately, it continued onward, and it's still going forward. So it's still having vacancy issues. I don't know what you can say. I mean, we're in 2022 already, almost in 2023. Does it typically take that long for an office building to be leased up completely? I don't think so.
Can you just, you may have said this and I missed it. Can you just remind me, when did they actually start taking on, like having tenants move in the property? Because it says it was completed in 2019.
Right. So the first tenancies would have been the owner on the third floor, and that would have been, I believe, in late 2018.
Okay, and so they were taking tenants right through 2019 then?
Absolutely. I mean, it was there for renting, and it just it's extremely slow going.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Now, Mr. Navarro, you said you had some rebuttal evidence?
Yeah, so they were the pictures that we'd taken. So these are recent pictures showing.
Okay, so let's just see, Mr. Kumar, are they in our?
Yeah, it's in the folder, Madam Chair.
Okay, let's everybody just find it here.
Mr. Lobson, I also sent you an email.
Okay, does it actually say rebuttal on the front of it?
No, it must be staying at the very top of the share folder, 22-2879 applicant rebuttal.
Okay, just I may go into my email here.
No, it's not in that email.
Oh, it's not. Okay, all right. I'm just trying to figure out. I have something with this property that came about a minute ago. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. It just looks like the regular brief. So I'm.
Are you able to view? Did you find it?
I'm in the revised and I can't. Is it all photos?
Yes, I can just pass it on to you if you'd like.
Well, we should be able to find it. Yeah.
Oh, it's the very top.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's.
I was looking at the top. Sorry.
Sorry, just a minute. Oh, let's see here.
There you go. Okay.
Thank you. There we go.
Sorry, I'm still not seeing it.
It only says applicant brief, Cynthia. It's at the very top of the list.
Name with the file name, Madam Chair, 22-2879 applicant rebuttal.
You can actually.
Sorry.
There's a way to do it. It's not working, but
Okay, I'm going to open everything that has this. So it. Okay, you know what?
I can send you an email if you want.
Yeah, Jaswinder, can you send me an email, and that probably, because I don't see it here. I'm not sure why. I could maybe refresh it, but if you just send it to me by email, that'll make maybe the quickest.
Yes, Madam Chair, just a moment.
Thank you. Okay, I have it now. My apologies. Please proceed, Mr. Navarro.
Okay, so there's not much to say about this because we've already spoken about it, but these are the pictures that were taken recently of the vacant spaces. And I don't know if we can really call them vacant spaces. You can see that this is essentially just shell. So I hope that paints a better picture.
Okay, Mr. Laudenstein, do you have any questions regarding this?
Not the pictures, no.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
none, thanks.
And Mr. Diamond, any questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
No, and I do not either. So, Mr. Laudenstein, any summary on this property?
Just have one summary, just one point I want to make. With the office income stream on my page 5, I just want to put again that we are putting on the almost 4,000 square feet, we're putting a 10-cent shell rent. So if you apply that to the overall square, it's over 6%. So we're basically looking at, we're actually taking into account the vacancy for this property to the tune of 12%. So it's not like we don't understand from the assessment and taxation point of view that this property does have high vacancy. It's just that physically that square footage does exist in this building, so we do have to assess it, but we are only putting 10 cents on it. That's my
Okay, thank you. Mr. Navarro. Any summary?
Yes, just to summarize that in terms of the office areas, what we've done is we've provided a rent that is actually higher than what the assessor has predicted. And that is because we're actually accounting for the space as if it were actually completely finished, taking into account market rents. And we can see that one rent was negotiated in January of 2021. So we feel that these spaces are being accounted for appropriately. Where the issue arises is strictly on the vacancy and how much that is affecting the property overall. And we wouldn't have done that if this had been 1 year or a year and a half, but we are continuing to see this and it's not getting better going forward. So as I mentioned, it could be a locational thing. I don't really know what's causing it, but it is affecting the market value of this property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. We've heard all the items that were scheduled on our docket today, and so this hearing is now adjourned, and I thank you all very much.
Thank you.